Do you want to know if you are one of the emotionally intelligent people? In today's video, we present the 8 things that emotionally intelligent people avoid. Thus, you can assess for yourself whether you belong to that group of people with emotional intelligence. Today, emotionally intelligent people avoid these 8 things. If you like our videos, feel free to support us with a thumbs up, subscribe to Psychology and Mind, activate the little bell, and get ready for fresh videos uploaded for you every day. Let's first clarify what emotional intelligence actually is. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand your own emotions, express them in a healthy way, and deal with them constructively. Most emotionally intelligent people have a high degree of empathy and compassion for others. At the same time, they recognize that their own self-reliance and well-being must come first. So what are the things that emotionally intelligent people avoid? Number 1, suppressing their emotions. We live in a society that all too often wants to force you to suppress your emotions. At work, you can't always express yourself the way you want to, and many social conventions also prohibit you from free emotional expression. People then basically suppress their emotions, swallowing everything and building up enormous psychological pressure inside. This then manifests itself as emotional stress, depression, or severe personality disorders. Emotionally intelligent people consistently avoid suppressing their emotions. They pull themselves together where they have to, but later, when they have the necessary personal space, they confront their emotions. They likewise avoid being permanently in environments or working in places where their emotional expression is severely disrupted. Number 2, devaluing the emotions of others. People who suppress their emotions tend to block the emotional expression of others as well. You've probably experienced that emotions like laughing or crying can be contagious. Men, for example, who do not allow themselves to cry because of social pressure, cannot bear to have tears flowing in their presence. They may harshly devalue and curb the emotional expression of others. They are afraid to be confronted with their own suppressed emotions. Emotionally intelligent people are in tune with their emotions, and it does not matter whether they are male or female. They can allow emotions without feeling ashamed and do not hold others back in emotional expression. Number 3, thinking and brooding too much. It's normal and good to reflect on emotionally challenging situations. This is a creative process in which people can get to know themselves and their life strategies better. Optimally, new behaviors are then learned or old ones confirmed. This is all in the name of constantly learning and adapting to a changing world. Emotionally intelligent people can optimally go through these processes and bring them to completion successfully. Other people linger in reflection and sink into mulling over events long past. Their thinking is dominated by what-if scenarios, blame, and negativity. This is probably because of the way emotionally intelligent people use their brains. Studies have shown that empathic and highly socially intelligent people activate completely different areas of the brain. They process sensory impressions and information preferentially within the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for discriminative thinking and creative solution strategies. Brooding and doubtful people prefer to use the fear and stress center in the limbic system of the brain. Number 4, not setting limits. It is not particularly intelligent to always say yes to everything. Yes men don't know their own limits or are afraid to express them. They live in a mindset that suggests they must always give in order to get back or be loved. But this is a fallacy, and they will be regularly disappointed. As an emotionally intelligent person, you take a different approach. You may not know your limits 100% at first, but you learn from situations and do things differently in subsequent scenarios. You can say no when something is really too much for you, and you don't constantly spend your energy on goals or people who don't appreciate and support you. Number 5, submitting to peer pressure. You've probably experienced this too. groups by default try to impose certain behaviors on fellow human beings or forbid behaviors. Their motto is, if you want to belong to us, then do this or that. But really, this is how manipulative structures work. Structures that don't believe in promoting individual group members, but rather exploit them and keep them down. Young people in particular are at risk here, because their ability to use the creative cortex in the brain independently is not yet fully developed. Emotionally intelligent people usually recognize at this early stage of maturity that groups offer more disadvantages than advantages. They instinctively stay away from constraints and manipulative groups and confidently go their own way. This need not always be comfortable. In the long run, such a path will pay off in spiritual freedom and a self-determined way of life. Number 6, not allowing change. Some people get lost in the belief that steady life circumstances would offer security. Their need for control is so great that they want to prevent any kind of change in their lives. Often, such people even want to force those around them to be as rigid and immobile as they themselves have become. As an emotionally intelligent person, you welcome change and progress at any time. You can leave your comfort zone and take risks. In crises, you always see not only the threat, but also the opportunity for a fresh start and welcome change. Number 7, seeking external validation. People who have experienced trauma, anxiety, and abuse form a dysfunctional self-esteem. Later, this can develop into addictions or serious mental disorders. It is typical that these people cannot validate themselves and need constant attention and feedback from the outside. If they do not get this, they tend to display conspicuous and sometimes aggressive behaviors in order to at least attract the negative interest of others. As an emotionally intelligent person, you recognize your value and know what really counts in life. You find confirmation in your own actions, what others think is important to you, but you don't build your whole life on pleasing others. Number 8, denying constructive criticism. There are basically 2 types of criticism. One comes from haters and envious people who will try to devalue you. The other comes from friends and people who really have something to contribute. Degrading criticism can affect even emotionally strong people. Most of the time, it comes from the kind of people who don't have any special emotional intelligence. You can recognize such criticism by the fact that it only wants to question or, at worst, destroy you and your work or your self-expression. The criticism is not accompanied by any hints or tips on how you could do it better or correctly. As an emotionally intelligent person, you instinctively know the difference. You can forgive haters and envious people, but you don't dwell on them for long. If creative criticism comes into your life, you are happy to receive the advice and quickly implement it. Constructive criticism never triggers negative emotions or defensive behavior in you. Today's conclusion: were you able to draw anything instructive for yourself from these pointers? How many of these points do you already follow consistently? Admittedly, the world doesn't always make it easy for emotionally intelligent people. But even if you occasionally encounter headwinds, you should consistently stick to being an empathetic and constructive person. Sooner or later, you'll celebrate great success with this approach to life and become a happy person. That's it for today.
Thanks for watching. Did you find this information helpful? Do you have experience with it? We would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts. For more resources about mental health, self-improvement, and psychology, visit our website. You'll find the link in the video description where you can also connect with us on social media and sign up for our email list. Take care of yourself and have a beautiful day.